Hi all, Tara Landesco from the Trust Tara team. So I'm in front of another home that is actually under contract. And what I wanted to talk today about was some real estate terms that people, may not know. And here comes my little peanut. Are you gonna come? Come sit down. So let's talk about real estate. What do you think, buddy? Should we tell people what some of the important words, terms they need?
Go.
Well, yeah, let go.
A few moments later.
Hi all, Tara Landesco here in front of another home that I have under contract. Earlier today we stopped by to see some of my buyers, brought some gifts over, just to congratulate them and to really have them feel welcome into this new community. So I want to go over some terms for you first-time home buyers, or maybe you've even bought in a home before and maybe you just haven't heard that term, so let's kind of go over it. So we talked about listings, what a listing is. It's actually when a seller decides that they want to list their property with a real estate agent. The real estate agent will list it on the MLS. A lot of you will hear this term, hey, I saw it on the MLS, and what does that mean? The MLS is a multiple listing site where realtors, us realtors, will go and list your home. That's where you'll find all the information about the property, the pictures, the taxes, everything that you need to know about that property will be on there. There are multiple listing sites, so I do want to make you aware. I know when I was a first-time home buyer, I didn't realize that there was different sites. So when I would go on NJMLS, there might be homes that I saw on their site that was not the same as Garden State. So it really is going to depend on the agent that you're working with. You want to stick with agents that have multiple MLSs they work on, so you get as much visibility on your listing. I personally, if I'm posting anything in, the Clifton, even in the, Bergen County area, you always want to overlap it because there might be agents that are in Garden State that are more in the Passaic Essex that are finding homes for their home buyers maybe in Bergen County. So it does help when an agent is part of a couple of multiple listing sites. Another thing I want to talk about is contingency. I can't say how many times I've gone out and, girlfriends or friends or just acquaintances will say to me, oh yeah, I want to buy a house, but, I have to sell my house to be able to get the new house. That is called contingent. So when you're doing an offer, first-time home buyers, on a home that you love, and you hear this word contingency, contingency is something that you need to have met to be able to purchase that home. A lot of times the word contingency is used on, hey, you know what, my mortgage guy said I can't hold both mortgages, so to be able to purchase this home, I have to sell this home. So a contingency would be, an example of contingency would be, we want to buy this home, however, we have to sell our home until we can buy your home. So one has to happen for the other one to happen. So that's what contingency means. I do also want to talk about, some of the processes for you sellers out there when you are selling your home. There's a slew of things that we need to make sure that you're prepared for. The first thing is going to be preparing your home, and I know that we use those terms and we say those terms a lot, but preparing your home means just that. It means that you make your home look as perfect as possible, so when that first-time home buyer walks in or that buyer walks in, they're like, wow, this is the place for me. It's important you do that prior to pictures, prior to open houses. First impressions mean everything. Preparing your home to sell, you get it staged, paint, color, light, all those things matter. Once you get that house prepared, you need to now take pictures. So taking photography, good pictures, making sure the light is right, that's going to be super important for you sellers. The other thing that you need to do, sellers, your permits. If you've done any work during the time that you lived in your house, make sure you go down to the town and all of your permits are closed. You go down to your local, any of your local municipal court, your municipal town, you go and find out, you go to the building department, you find out what permits are open, and make sure you get those closed. The reason why is because if you don't have those open permits closed, you cannot get your CO. CO. We all talk about this. What is a CO? It's a certificate of occupancy. It's also your fire certificate. What does that mean? We've talked about that in the past if you've seen some of my other videos. It's making sure you have the right smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide is in place on the right floors and the right places. So you need to have those in line to be able to get your certificate of occupancy. Once you get an inspection done from that certificate, the fire department comes out and checks and makes sure everything's in place. Then you wait a couple days. Once you get that stamp of approval, you go back to the town and you pick up that certificate. You cannot close without your certificate of occupancy. So make sure, you sellers out there, as soon as you're under contract, go down to the town, make sure those permits are closed, apply for that CO. I want to talk about appraisals for you, you buyers, and this also is for you sellers. What is an appraisal? An appraisal is how much your home is worth in a particular neighborhood area. And that will be based on the square footage of a home, the size of the property, the amount of bedrooms, the amount of bathrooms, the taxes, and the comps in the area. The reason why appraisals are done is they want to make sure that what you've offered on that home is what the mortgage company will be able to justify getting that mortgage. So you really want to make sure that, I know we get into these bidding wars, and here's another term, bidding wars. Bidding wars are, I put an offer on, I'm a buyer, I put an offer on something, another buyer comes in, they really want it, so they put a higher offer, and it goes back and forth. This happens a lot in areas where there's low inventory, and it's a good and a bad thing, because what will happen is another term, appraisal shortage. What does that mean? For you sellers out there, appraisal shortage means that if the appraiser comes in and inspects the home and feels it's not worth what the sales price is, then there's two things that can happen. One, the buyer can back out, because if the mortgage company will not justify the cost of that home, you might not be in a good situation with that. So you would have to, what you would have to do in that scenario is the buyer would have to pay the difference of where the appraisal shortage was. Sometimes it really is going to be dependent on the home, how much you love it, is it worth it? So that's something you obviously need to talk to your spouse, maybe your partner who you're buying the home with, or even yourself, speak to your family, try and get as much information as far as, is it really worth it? So we were talking a little bit about inventory and what does that really mean. We were talking about with buyers, when it's a buyer's market, that means that there's tons of inventory. When there's low inventory, it becomes a seller's market, because a seller knows that there aren't tons of houses out there. So if a buyer truly loves it, they're going to have to pay the piper and pay that seller. So it's good for you to know the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market. Another thing I want to talk about is, we hear these terms of agents, buyer's agent, seller's agent. What does all that mean? So a buyer's agent is somebody who focuses on working on the buy side. You buyers out there, first-time home buyers, so you're going to call and you're going to say, hey, I'm looking in this area, that area. The buyer's agent's going to prepare all that for you. You're going to go out with them and you're going to search and look for those homes. So a buyer's agent focuses more on the buy side, the buyers. When you're on the seller's agent or you're a listing agent, you're more on the sell side. So you're more in tune, or I should say, it's somebody who's more on getting the house prepared to sell, doing the pictures, getting everything out on the MLSs. So a seller or listing agent is going to be more on the seller side. An agent can be both. I personally am both. I like both sides of it. I love working with buyers and giving them the understanding of the process. And I also love working with sellers, mainly because I know what it is to make that aha impression. So, the staging is a big part of what I do. Lighting and color are everything. These are some tips. Please feel free to reach out to me. I've been getting tons of messages from everyone. They love the content. So if you have a question that you don't know the answer to, or you're afraid to ask, you can always trust Tara. I will not judge. I will not, I just want to I'm here to help you. So please send me messages. Keep on doing it, folks. I love hearing from you. I know you see me kind of all over the place. The whole thing about the Trust Tara brand is it's not just about real estate. It's about everything else that comes after. See you soon. And don't forget, trust Tara.